so they need some depth at the 5 position. But yeah, I mean, maybe that won't happen in a few years where they're lucky to pick up another player off the waiver. I actually don't understand why Austin Rivers was waived. I mean,
yeah, but we don't understand why. Chandler, I guess, made some more sense. Yeah, but I don't know. Phoenix is Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Rivers has he's taken a lot of heat, but he's not the worst NBA player. Okay, so I'm gonna throw out a trade scenario for the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs pick up Mike Conley, Gasol, Patty Mills, Bryn Forbes, Lonnie Walker, and the Toronto pick would go to Memphis. Do you think Memphis has a better deal out there for a Mike Conley?
Okay, so I was actually going to propose a very similar deal, but they'll have to give up more. They'll have to give up their own pick as well. In my scenario, I had them giving up Patty Mills. I had them giving up Pau Gasol. I had them giving up Podol and both of their first-round picks this year. Conley is still only 31. He has an expensive contract, but he still has, I think, a decent amount of value. I mean, that Toronto pick is not anything. At minimum, it would probably have to be the San Antonio pick. But I think he will have to. They would have to include a little more. Conley would fit perfect there. I mean, he plays great defense. He is a very fine playmaker, and he would be a great fit in San Antonio because his timeline would fit well with DeRozan and Aldridge. I mean, all three of them are around the same age, give or take maybe a year or two, some ways. And all three of their contracts expire after this season, 2.5 years essentially. They are all on a very similar timeline, so the Spurs could fit him in if things don't work. Well, when all three of their contracts are up, figure out a way to rebuild. Yes, I think this is a perfect fit. I think if Mike Conley becomes available, San Antonio should be the number 1 team knocking on that door quickly as possible.
I will make some. I think I didn't include Podol in this deal. I actually think Bryn Forbes has a little bit more value.
He does. I agree. I don't think Spurs would want to give up Forbes. If you're throwing in 2 first rounders, I think you could maybe get away with that.
The other thing is that I don't know if I would fight not to give up 2 first rounders. I think giving up Forbes makes a little bit of sense because you have Mike Conley, right? He's obviously a point guard. You have DeJounte Murray, who's been injured, but he's also been touted as the point guard of the future, who he will be coming back. And you still have Derek White, who's kind of having a semi-breakout season this year. He's really, he's playing good defense. He's not, he's taking care of the ball. He's scoring at a decent rate now. I mean, these numbers are improving. So you have, some talent at the guard position. My question here is, can the Memphis Grizzlies get a better offer for Mike Conley? And I will just make one point that I agree with you totally on the fit with the San Antonio Spurs, and I also think that there's an added bonus there where Mike Conley and DeJounte Murray, Mike Conley can kind of be the seasoned veteran who really helps them out, because there's they could be on the floor at the same time because of Murray's and Conley's defensive abilities, Murray's length, Murray's height. He can guard the 2. So I don't think it would stem the growth of DeJounte Murray, especially after a year of coming back of a brutal injury, which he's probably not. He's going to need some time, as we see with Gordon Hayward, that it takes time to get back.
Yes, definitely. I don't disagree with that.
But the question is, can the Grizzlies get a better offer for Mike Conley?
Probably not. I mean, it depends on which offer we're going with, mine or yours. I mean, obviously, my offer would give up more, and your offer they're giving up a little less. The one thing that will hurt...
Let's just say, since mine is giving up less, just say, talk about mine.
There probably will be a team willing to give up more. Which team that is hard to gauge because of how many...
I mean, the teams that need point guards, right? The Suns and the Magic, in my opinion, would be not very smart to sacrifice their future for Mike Conley. Now, everything that I hear is the Magic are really intent on making the playoffs this year. So maybe you can get a Jonathan Isaac. I mean, that'd be crazy in my opinion.
Well, and here's the thing. I did a lot of... I tried to do as much research as I can on this week because it kind of drives me a little nuts every time. Why are all these teams striving to make to play all these bad teams striving so hard to make the playoffs. I mean, teams like Memphis, teams like Washington, these teams that should be rebuilding more than anything. Why are they striving so hard to make the playoffs? And I tried doing some research on exactly how much money does a team make for one playoff game. And there's barely, I think that's someone's got to do research on that, because there's barely anything out there. From everything I've read also while doing this research, is that there's barely anything out there on how much they make. But from the small research I was able to gauge, a couple million per home playoff game. Yes, it's nice to make an additional $4 or $5 million a year, but I don't know, if I'm one of these teams, I mean, really, is that really worth it? Than trying to get yourself to a point where you're making the playoffs, kind of like Philadelphia did, where you're now making the playoffs on an annual basis. And as much of turmoil as Philadelphia has had, they are a team that everyone is watching.
Yeah, I mean, we're in total agreement here, but I think it comes down to the general manager position is kind of at a spot where you're not able to do a full tank. I mean, the great job that Sam Hinkie, in my opinion, did, he doesn't even have a job in the NBA now. And I think a lot of teams are stupid not to be able to hire him. But, you just can. And you feel like, if the Magic miss another playoff, the general manager's gone. Now the owner can't take a look at him here and really be like, okay, well, if I really, really want to win, I have to sacrifice a couple more seasons. I will make the argument that Memphis Grizzlies, in my opinion, should be willing to have a better record and give up that pick this year. The draft.
Well, they want that. The report came out, I think, 2 days ago that they want to give up their pick this year to Boston.
I think it's the smartest play. I don't think the draft is that. There's a few real good players at the top, but I don't think it's as deep as the past two trades. So you give up that pick. You don't have to give up a top 5 protector or an unprotected pick in 2 years. So in my opinion,
the problem with that is you risk losing Gasol for nothing. And that's, I mean, yes, granted, even in this offseason, even if he does opt out, his sign and trade is possible.
If you can trade Gasol this year, I still think you do it and you still play. I mean, you only have to be better than 8 teams, right? Or 7 teams.
You have to be better than 8.
You have to be better than 8, okay? So there's obviously 4 teams in the East that you're already better than.
I mean, okay, so you're better. Phoenix, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, Cleveland. Those are 5.
Okay.
You're better than. Well, see the thing. Okay, I would say yes. You're better than
you're
Washington.
Better than
you're
Washington,
better than Orlando.
Washington's going to play teams in the East, so their schedule is more favorable.
But Memphis has been struggling. I mean, you're probably better than Minnesota. Heck, you're probably better than New Orleans, depending on how Anthony Davis does. But the bottom line is they've been struggling.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you can trade Gasol, you trade Gasol, and you hope you get a rotational player and an asset where the rotational player helps you stay on this year. For that reason, I actually don't see this player. I don't see this trade happening this year, but this is actually a trade that I might see happen in the future because, like again, you mentioned if like in the summer the Spurs can pick up Mike Conley, they have Mark Conley, DeMar DeRozan, and LaMarcus Aldridge for those next 2 years. There's been that report that Pop, this might be his last year, but I think if Mike Conley's there, there can be some enticement for him to come back and have another 1 or 2 years with these guys, and then whatever happens to the Spurs happens to the Spurs, right?
Yeah.
All right, my last trade that I had here is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I'm sure this has been talked about a lot. They pick up Nikola Vucevic. They have to give up Caldwell Pope, Moritz Wagner, and probably a pick in this deal.
No, not probably. Yeah, definitely a pick. It's
now losing that pick means that you don't have it for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think, to be fair, Anthony Davis is not being traded till after the draft, and at that point, I don't think that pick. You lose it, yeah, because I mean, sure, you could theoretically after you sign that, you could trade him a month after he signed a rookie, but I don't think unless New Orleans is in love with whoever the Lakers select, they'll want their own first round picks. So Yes, as a Lakers fan, I love Vucevic. I think he'd be obviously a perfect fit there, but no, I don't do it. I don't think he'll make a difference. I don't think he'll make enough of a difference for them to compete for legitimately compete for a championship. That's the reason why I don't do it. This would kind of be a not necessarily a desperation move, but a move to try to show something like, hey, we are in this, we are competing, and I don't want to lose Moritz Wagner. Well, the pick. I mean, but why lose the pick? Why?
So let me make a counter argument here. I think you make this deal for this reason, and I could be a little bit wrong here when it comes to the numbers, so maybe you can enlighten me here. But you trade for Nikola Vucevic, who's on that expiring contract, but who's obviously played out of his mind, and we both, I think, would argue that the fit with LeBron and Lonzo Ball, who are both very good passers, is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, his cap hold, I'm guessing, is going to be, what, $18 million?
Well, I believe a little higher, but around.
With making this trade, do they still have a max roster spot?
Oh, no. I mean, are you trying to hold on to?
If you hold on to his cap hold.
No, you don't. No.
Oh, okay.
Not even close. I mean, you have about half of a maximum roster spot, so yeah, that wouldn't.
So the Lakers are at a point where they only have one roster spot.
Plus about 6-7 million. Now, depending on what type of free agent. Again, if you're signing a Kevin Durant, now all of a sudden it's just one maximum roster spot and basically nothing else. If you're signing a Klay Thompson, now you have about 5-6 more million plus your room exception. Again, if they could get a maximum player, they are going to get that maximum player. Basically, no questions asked because they need another superstar around LeBron. So,
all right. Can I ask? Do you think it's worth it now to trade for Bradley Beal, or do you still hold out hope for Anthony Davis?
I absolutely would probably say yes, but I don't think Washington's going to trade it for better or for worse. I don't think Washington's going to.
Well,
trade
the
it.
argument to me is that the only team that could make a pretty fair deal when it comes to talent would be Lakers, right?
Well, Boston, I think.
I haven't heard about. Well, I think Brandon Ingram has a little bit more talent than Jaylen Brown right now. I think it's been.
He's got more. He's more talented. I don't know necessarily if he has more value than Jaylen Brown, but the other thing here is I think why Washington would rather tangle with Boston if this would ever to happen is because Boston would probably have to give up. It'd probably have to be a package of Gordon Hayward and Jaylen Brown for a Bradley Beal and a Thomas Satoransky. And that's where I think.
Yeah, but Gordon Hayward. I mean, you're taking.
I like him a lot. I still think he'll be a solid player. Bradley Beal is playing better. I don't know if his fit is necessarily better in Boston, but he's playing better.
You make the trade for sure because I think Bradley Beal is obviously the best player.
And good thing that you say that because I think Washington makes this deal for sure because they know that they're not only getting a shooting guard with a lot of potential, but they're also getting another player.
But you're also getting a $30 million salary for someone who, yes, he was worth that, but we don't know if he still is worth that. Obviously, his performance this year shows that he's not. Right?
Yes, no, you're right about that. But Washington, I think, with this trade, that they get another. They get a shooting guard. They get a young shooting guard. They essentially get someone to replace Bradley Beal. Now, definitely not at what he's worth, but they also get somebody who could replace his status as a star player, not a superstar player, as a star player. Now, even though he may not be a star this year, he has that status. And I think that would help them sell tickets, which I think ultimately that's what they're going for anyway. And again, I don't think Washington will do this because I don't think they will make Beal available. But I think if he was to become available, this would probably be. And granted, you might have to throw some pick. Probably involve Rozier. Maybe give this a 3-team trade, so Washington can maybe get another asset. But the basis of that package, I think that would be the best available to Washington.
All right. I have proposed all my trades. Are there any other trades you want to propose?
Well, I just wanted to go quickly over some teams, whether you think they should make deals or not. Some other teams in the Western Conference, teams we haven't brought up for good reason.